Water, a symbol of the Holy Spirit. Water is essential for life. And God sits above the waters. Biblical imagery and all the work of the public life of Jesus centered here at the water of the Sea of Galilee, fed by the water of the Jordan River. There's always a blossom, red flowers. There the sun has risen already. We'll get over there in a little bit for a better view, but just here these flowers are always red for Pentecost. Last year they were just on the verge, but this year they're much more advanced, and some years it's almost all red, and it will go completely red. And here we find ourselves standing beside this reminder of a great woman of the Holy Spirit who was overshadowed by the Holy Spirit. And of her was born the Word made flesh by the working of the Holy Spirit. May we all be overshadowed by the Holy Spirit today, the Spirit of God. Come, Creator Spirit, and renew the face of the earth. A lot of people stumble at the incarnation, but it seems that more people have easier access to accepting the Holy Spirit, as much as on the other hand we often ignore the Holy Spirit and disregard the Holy Spirit's promptings in our lives. That's the very fine, not a fine line, a fine sensitivity. You know, hi-fi, high fidelity. A lot of electronic commerce was sold with hi-fi, high fidelity recordings, high fidelity, to give the original in complete fidelity. This was a great desire of many wonderful products. And imagine when we can echo and resonate the promptings of the Holy Spirit in our hearts with high fidelity. Blessed is she who heard and carried out the will of the Lord. The waters were hovering, the Spirit was hovering over the waters. Just said goodbye now to a volunteer. Otherwise, another good place would have been to go up to the harvest fields, which are just harvested up here, the wheat harvest. This is one of the major biblical roots of this celebration, the wheat harvest. The first fruits associated with God's people, with the reception of the law. The fruits are something that are given, they're not just produced. Fruitfulness and bounty are gifts from the author of life. And sure, also there's a human element involved with particularly receiving the fruits. And so God's law was received on Mount Sinai after the travails of the Exodus. And then the big work began, the big work of learning fidelity to God's gifts, to the first fruits, that they would flourish and grow and develop. What a mystery. And then already on the first day of the resurrection, we have that text in John's Gospel that Jesus breathed on them in the evening of that first day, saying, "Receive the Holy Spirit." And then words that echoed the beginning of the public ministry, proclaiming the forgiveness of sins, and not just proclaiming it, but authorizing these disciples, empowering them. Another big word for the Holy Spirit, the power of the Holy Spirit, empowering them to forgive sin, the forgiveness of sin. A commentator explained in her presentation, it's in German, so I'm not sure if it's much point sharing the link, Dr. Nina Herman, about just recently, this week, that were it not for Pentecost, the work of salvation wouldn't be complete. This is the purpose of the whole work of salvation. The whole development, the calling of Abraham, right up to even the resurrection and the ascension. Because God wanted to dwell with us. He always did. He wanted to walk with Adam and Eve in the garden. He accompanied Noah in the ark with his primordial creation represented there, with some representatives of each species. In his major rescue operation after all the disasters of the breakdown of the human being, and now with the Holy Spirit and Pentecost, we have this fulfillment of the God who walked with his people, and not just walked outside with them, but now their person becomes the temple of God. And he walks with us, he walks in us, he is in us, we are one with him, in a unity we can't imagine. And also a gentleness, a kindness, a goodness that really no one can rival God in the delicacy of treatment, the way he respects our liberty, our freedom. There's no force with God. He doesn't force us. He wants our yes. He coaxes us. It's like that Song of Songs, that romance, that drawing rather than pushing, that gentleness. Adding a little drop of water to a plant and giving it time to come back to life. The fruits, a word of the garden, you know, Garden of Eden, the fruits of the Holy Spirit: joy, love, kindness, patience. They're actually mentioned today in the second reading. Today I put up 2 links for you. Oh wow, my phone has cut off again from this. I was going to go through the list of the fruits for you. There's also a list of the works of the flesh, which are expressions of the utter selfishness of the human heart, instrumentalizing all the good potentialities given to the human being, but instrumentalizing them for evil and sin and destruction. And now with Pentecost, this complete renewal of the face of the earth, which is really the face of each human being, which is really an expression of the heart of each human being. Pentecost is a great day. It's a great time to be living after Pentecost. Pentecost is the flowering of grace, bringing all its bounty. You know, we see the bounty of nature, all these little chirping of so many birds. We also have the gifts of the Holy Spirit: wisdom, understanding, counsel, fortitude, knowledge, piety, and the fear of the Lord. What an amazing gift of the Holy Spirit, that great respect before God, whom we so easily dismiss, and particularly in the figure of the Holy Spirit, because we can easily be resistant to grace in our hearts, which is a dismissal of God. There was a beautiful white crane would have worked lovely for an image of the Holy Spirit, right? The dove. That crane didn't expect to find us here. When I say us, I mean all of you. A life lived with the Holy Spirit, the transforming power. We're all called to be saints, every single one, every last terrorist, every chief of criminal bands. We're all called to become saints, and many do. It's amazing the gifts of the way they work in us, and also the way the fruits emerge. And once I was at a little special kind of a gathering where before Pentecost little cards were distributed, and the cards had the 7 gifts of the Holy Spirit, and everybody could draw a card. And once there was a person who drew one card, and it looked like the person didn't like it, and the girl just said, well, maybe you can ask for a different gift, or maybe you want to get a different gift. But the gift that's given to us is the one we need. And it's a beautiful thing. And there are many different gifts. And these gifts are given according to God's own good love and plan for each one of us, and to discover the gifts we have and to put them there for the service of others. They're also a blessing for us, but they're particularly also a service for others. It's a day of great rejoicing, a day of great renewal. It's also a challenging day for those who receive the Holy Spirit and those around them who may not have received the Holy Spirit in that way. Because Peter goes off then and explains everything to all the people who are astonished at the phenomenon of Pentecost. And they're astonished over the fact that they're all speaking these languages everybody can understand, counter to the experience at Babel, the Tower of Babel. Some people call our culture today a Tower of Babel. But we don't have to be condemning. We can listen and hear the cries of need, the cries of pain, and we can bring in our little gift to help somebody, to bring sense, to bring harmony. And the Holy Spirit is the source of harmony. That's one of the lines Pope Francis repeats quite often regarding the Holy Spirit. There are so many differences, so many challenges, and the Holy Spirit brings the harmony, the unity. And it's beautiful when there's a will for that, a will to receive that gift. Inside the family, in our own heart and mind and soul, inside the family, in the neighborhood, among the greater extended family, that harmony. Here we have trees and earth and sand and water and air and the fire of the sun, all in a unity for life. There's so much here. I put up 2 links for you today, one with the readings for today. I encourage you to ponder them. And there's another link for all the readings, because there was a whole set of readings for the vigil yesterday evening, for an extended vigil. And in some countries, I remember in Germany, Monday, tomorrow, is a day also of celebrating Pentecost, because there's so much to ponder and to enjoy and to rejoice over. So I wish you a great indulgence in the company of the Holy Spirit today. God bless you. See you later, alligators. Blessed Feast of Pentecost.